Just when they thought I was consolary, they point at me and lead. Welcome back to Fog Entertainment. It's the Sopranos, Season 6, Episode 3, Mayhem. Hey, back up a minute, Pluto. It was mayhem. Paulie, Vito, going on a wee Colombian heist of their own. Tony wanting to take his case into heaven. And Silvio's arse folding like a deck chair. This episode had a lot, but at the same time didn't do a lot.
Yeah, it goes to show you the immense pressure that Tony is under. You know, he survives the entire season and he's in charge and he's leading things and he's getting on with it. Sil takes over, literally, you know, for 30 minutes later, boom, heart attack, can't handle it no more, giving up. The demands of the crew, the pressure, the arguing, the nitpicking, the pettiness. He just gave up, he's done, and he's in the hospital next to Tony. And obviously, it's like vultures, it's like hyenas are all circling around thinking they should be the next guy. But I think Tony and Sil will both make a recovery here.
Well, what about Sil though, right? I think if
need my inhaler.
I think if you're consolari and you've been advising Tony for a number of years, you should be more than equipped to step up to task when Tony's laid out.
Now, to be fair, I think he did do a good job until I seen him getting like wheeled away in the ambulance.
Yeah, but he was panic attacking all episode, taking bloody inhaler there, and then his arse folds and Bobby arrives like, Sil, you didn't answer.
You know what though? I kind of think maybe that was just kind of. I know Peter will defend this show to the day it dies. I think that was maybe bad writing. I think that we're supposed to maybe believe that Sil actually has been this way for a while. But they're only showing it now because now he's in charge. Or do you think he's absolutely in fine health and he just completely bottled this position that he got him put in?
No, I think we don't take inhalers, right? But the general gist is that most people with inhalers are fine until they're in situations that panic them. And obviously the role of leadership panicked Sil, and that's why he was heavily reliant on it.
He did say he never wanted it before and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
that to me, it's like, they floated the question that I could sit in the big chair. It's like, no, mate, you couldn't sit in the big chair. You need a fucking high chair to sit in the big chair because, you pointed out, it's like...
would you fucking stop?
It's season 6, and now Sil's getting a wee storyline of his own. He's supposed to be second in command. This should have happened fucking seasons ago.
And you know what? I actually liked this episode, and I liked that we actually got to see Sil not just as a background character or... a main character that's there, but not really. For me, Sil's kind of just there, right? I mean, obviously, he's a main character in the sense, right, that he is the number 2 to Tony. But in terms of focus, in terms of importance, in terms of lines and dialogue and screen time, would you really describe him as a main character?
Of course he is, but...
Oh, no, the categories that I just described, right? I don't think that he is, and to me, that's lame. Like, this episode, we're just seeing his house. I believe we're getting introduced to his wife for the first time. How have we not seen this before?
I know, but if you look across TV shows, right, the number 2 in command of the main group is always a main character. You know what I mean? But I totally agree. He doesn't feel like it. He never has, and we'll see if he will. But even if Sil steps up the task in this final season, it's pish. It's no good enough.
Look at Bobby. No. Well, yeah, even Bobby. I think Bobby's had more stuff to do than Sil. Chris, obviously, has had more.
Vito's took a mantle in the last few episodes.
Paulie has had a lot more. And then as well, Big Sal. Not Big Sal, what's his name?
Ralph?
No.
Well, Big Sal did get a lot of time
Pussy.
as well. Yeah, that is his name though, Big Sal.
Oh, I was trying to think of his other name. So, but yeah, seeing you compare all those guys, to me, Sil's like the odd one out.
No, he is.
He's not really had a story of his own or like that much important screen time.
Even Eugene in the season 6 premiere got an episode dedicated to himself rather than Sil. And that shouldn't have been the case.
Up to this point, up to this episode, I think the most like focus I've ever seen on Sil is when he has that little argument with Tony. He goes, all due respect, you have no idea what it's like being fucking number 1 in here. Those words were never truer than this episode.
Absolutely. But let's get into the Colombian drug deal. So Paulie and this guy, part of his crew, what carry the Bortiolo. They think they're going to get a bunch of money here, but Paulie ends up getting a knee in the balls. They kill the two guys and like, where the fuck's the money? Paulie's very reluctant to leave the room until they get the money. And then, luckily for them, the dishwasher opens. Right, there's rumours if it's 700 or 1 million. What did it look like to you? Not that we're experts in this amount of money, but...
Looked like a fucking lot.
It did.
It looked like... I would love to try and fit it in my dishwasher, that's for sure.
Yeah.
On the West Wing.
And what happens here is essentially... Vito and Paulie are arguing about who gets what. Sil's taking a shite. He rules one way. He's like, 200k goes to Carmela. But Paulie was like, I'll give Carmela her 80k. And Vito was like, what the, whoa, back up. And what do you mean 80k? It was a fucking mill in there. Paulie pointed out the fact it was only 700k. Either way, right, I think with Vito, why did he give this location to fucking Paulie of all people? Vito's got his own crew. He's a captain. He could have literally took this place down and kept the money for himself.
The only thing that makes sense to me is he said it would be empty, there would be nobody there, and that wasn't true. No, but I mean, I can understand like Vito maybe trying to screw Paulie over like financially and maybe get him in trouble, but I don't think I've seen enough there to suggest that he would set him up to go into an ambush where he could die.
No, absolutely.
I haven't really seen that kind of hatred or anything like that. So yeah, to me, it doesn't make sense. You know, like you said, it either comes across as like bad writing or he set Paulie up. And none of them, the setting up doesn't really...
No, because, like, see Vito, right? Him and Paulie are clearly trying to get brownie points for Tony.
Yeah, but like you said,
if Vito takes all the money for himself, he gets all the brownie points.
And he has to give less money to Carmela.
And if the place was empty like he thought it would, it was an easy job. Let's be honest, right? See killing 2 guys to get £1 million in this line of work.
I think it was free.
Right, well, 3 guys. That's a piece of piss. That's a risk that most of these guys would take.
Could start a chain reaction.
No, I mean, it could, yeah, the Colombians could come for revenge, whatever, but for me, Vito should just used his crew. It would have avoided the entire headache here. But again, Vito's a fat fuck. I don't know why they keep, Mr. Finn over here. He's still fatter than fucking Tony.
Yeah, he's talking about, in this episode, he's talking about how he'd be good to lead because he's in shape, he's young. It's like, first of all...
would he be younger than Tony?
Young? I mean, if he is younger than Tony, there's not much in it.
I'm pretty sure in this season, Tony's 45.
Like, if Vito was younger than 45,
he's not aged well.
It's by a ball here. And honestly, man, I mean, I'm looking at Vito. I think Vito would still be heavier than Tony.
Yeah, even the way he walks.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of weight, but I think that...
Maybe he's got AIDS.
Tony's a bit bigger, like, so maybe Tony is heavier, but... For me, I would say there's more beef on Vito than there is on Tony.
Tony's taller as well. Got to bear that in mind. So, I mean, if you were to tell me who's fatter, if I was to say who's fatter at this point between Tony and Vito, it's Vito every day of the week. I mean, it just is. It has to be. But
I'd say even Bobby's in better shape. Bobby's taller
Bobby's
as well.
definitely slimmed down from the early days. But speaking of Bobby, him and Chris, they speak with AJ, basically tell him.
Yeah, but like, see if Chris said, I'm young and I'm in shape, I'm the man that should be leading it. I think you can see that.
Yeah, Chris to me is like the only guy that is young and in shape and capable of leading this crew. I think Bobby's too nice. I mean, he literally hasn't even killed anyone to this point, so can he really lead the crew? I mean, I think Chris is probably the good... If he stays clean... I mean, Tony said seasons ago, you're the heir. You're the guy that's going to take us into the 21st century. Although, maybe there'll be a fucking nose grab. Maybe there'll be a nose grab soon, but... AJ, he wants to kill Junior, but then Bobby and Chris kind of laugh it off. This is the first time we've seen AJ do something like this, and these two just fucking treat it like he wanted an ice cream.
AJ's young. Don't know if he's in shape, like, but maybe he can lead them into the future.
Definitely not, but then he says to Carmela, I know you put them fucking up to it. I think if Carmela knew that AJ was trying to get a gun to kill Junior, she'd have went fucking ape shit at him. I don't think she did, no.
Yeah, I think she'd be dealing with it.
Look at how she reacts when some of the stuff's released to the press. Carmela just overreacting, acting like a fucking bitch here. You know, see AJ, like, he's like the biggest retard walking in New Jersey, but his mother is a cunt. I can't stand her at times, man.
No.
I think so. I just honestly, she bumps into Dr. Melfi at the supermarket and then she gets like therapy lessons for her. Who really cares? I mean, honestly, who cares at this stage of the game? Vito, though, we see him at dinner. He's talking with Phil. He's like, I couldn't possibly, Phil, not give Carmela the money. And Phil's like, are you saying here what I think you're saying? He's like, if Tony took a turn for the worse, that money would be no good. And it's a valid point that they're bringing up here. It's like, if Tony dies, right, then the money's pretty much irrelevant. Carmela gets it.
Yeah, but that just goes to show you that all this, we care and stuff, it's a load of shite because they don't care. See, if Tony died, right, they would, first of all, be upset that Tony is no longer with them. And second of all, they would want Carmela to have that money because now that Tony's gone and he's not the main man supporting. But all they're thinking is, if Tony died, I gave her that money for fuck all and I wouldn't have needed to because she's no longer, Tony's wife and all. They're all a bunch of bastards.
And I think it's hard to actually feel any empathy and feel sorry for these characters. Like, if Paulie and Vito, right, die at the start of the next episode, well, I mean, would you care? Would you care if I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe it, I'm sad about that?
No, probably not, definitely not. See, when I say that none of them care, I take that back. I think there's a few. Like, I think that three that I would say care about Tony are probably Sil, Chris, and Bobby.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, I'm not convinced anyone else does.
No, and it's all about money
or each other. I'm not saying that those three necessarily care about each other, but I do think they care about Tony to an extent.
Vito then kind of touches up Finn, who's back in town, but we'll see where that goes sooner rather than later. We then see Chris. He gets into the movie business. He has Benny.
Yeah, maybe Finn will be interested now that Vito's a lot slimmer and younger.
I got a lot of money. Benny battles JT Dolan, and then Chris is basically like, right, we'll make it like Godfather Part 2 and Saw. People are into that shit. Let's do it. We then get a meeting of the minds. We've got Silvio, Vito, Larry Boy Baresi. We've got Carmine Jr. They're talking about this movie.
They whipped out a bunch of guys. I couldn't fucking tell you.
It was funny though because
it feels like everyone here gets like a scene every couple of seasons, and it's like they just whip them out and expect you to remember who they are.
JT's like
how you plucked their names out, I have no idea.
Wikipedia. Well, I knew Larry Boy. I knew his name, but JT's like. The guy Vito's like, I'm young and I could do it.
I am.
But JT points out, it's like, this movie's called Slasher, and the guys in the, mafia, is all these guys that are literally in the mafia just staring him down, which I thought was pretty funny. But then someone points out that it doesn't make any sense that every single piece of his body is at the same dump. And then Vito's like, but is he a ghost? And then Benny's like, hold on, guys, fucking wait. How about his body parts get dropped at different locations, but they get picked up by the same garbage truck that take him to the same dump for him to reunite his body parts? And I thought it was the biggest IQ move I've ever heard.
Yeah,
and then Vito's like, but he's a ghost, right? And it's like, no, go back to Benny. Give Benny his fucking stripes, because he just plucked... He just whipped out a Patrick Mahomes Hail Mary here and I got shot down. Flag on the field for Vito, and nobody cared.
Yeah, he made sense of something that made no sense at all. He gave you a logical explanation as to how this movie could actually go ahead and happen.
Yeah.
And that no one cared.
Yeah, and then right here, we'll see where Chris's movie will go for here. Anyway, we then see Paulie. He goes in and sits with Tony. Off my run, he looks terrible. And then he's like just talking a load of shit to Tony. And then Tony, in the dream, is battering the fuck out. Would you keep it down out there? Which I thought was pretty funny. But then Tony has a heart attack. But weirdly enough, this heart attack actually makes Tony wake up. We see him in the dream as Kevin Fafferty or Fennerty, whatever.
Fuck, you looked better before he woke up.
He grabs his suitcase. He's met at the door. Fennicky. He's met at the door by Tony B, but it's not actually Tony B. It's, Steve Buscemi, whatever you want to call him. And he basically says, you have to leave that here. And he's like, I don't want to go in there. He's like, oh, they're all waiting for you. He's like, no. But then you hear through the woods, Daddy. And it's Meadow, and then Tony eventually opens his eyes here. He asks Carmela, I'm dead, right? Obviously not, but he looks fucked. I get he can't speak, right? But see when he's looking at Chris and he's looking at Sil and guys like that, he looks absolutely snookered, doesn't he?
Doesn't look like a guy that's going to be hiring back.
Weirdly though, Chris basically tells him like, you know what? You owe me for fucking Adriana, so I'm going to get into the movie business.
Weird time to bring that up, like.
It was. Chris noticed this thing on the wall that said, sometimes I go into pity for myself, all the while a great wind carries me across the sky. I don't know if he he plucked this out because he noticed like the name, and obviously Agent Harris told him like, hey, have you seen any Middle Eastern names and you come to my door or whatever. I don't know what he's doing, but with Tony now conscious, Paulie and Vito are shitting themselves. Vito points out if they now give the money to Carmela, it's going to look suspicious. But Paulie's like, fuck that, the boss is awake, we need to do it. So they do it. Vito and Paulie basically give the money to Carmela. They're all smiles. Oh, you're part of the family, hun. We wouldn't have this any other way. Carmela finds this very, very happy. You know, she's like, oh, this is great. These guys truly care. She looks back as these two get in the elevator, absolutely fucking clinically depressed because they've had to give money over. And this is Carmela realising, holy fuck, this mob life, it's all a con. These guys truly don't give a fuck. And that's basically how the episode ends. Because they don't give a fuck.
No, because they don't care. They don't care.
But she knows that. I mean, how she's so fucking naive. As you said,
Does
right,
Tony know it?
I think Tony does know at that point, right? Now, I think there is a scene in the later episode where Carmela does tell Tony about these two. That, like, they don't care. But, like you said, Chris obviously cares. Bobby cares, and so does Sil. But there is people in these crews that they're like vultures, they're like hyenas, as you said at the start.
Just there to get as much money as they can.
And it's weird though, right? You could argue with Vito. He wasn't one of the OG guys. He literally just came in a part of Ralph's crew, whatever. But Paulie's been there since around Tony's dad was there.
Yeah,
you would think he would care.
Nah, it always struck me as like Paulie was always ungrateful and.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll give this episode an 8 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good.
It was good. Just another episode though where we got Tony laying there, dying, dead, and we get more dream sequences, more flashbacks or whatnot. It's like they really can't do an episode without Tony in it.
Yeah, it wasn't necessary, man.
I just don't know, like
see the scene where he wants to go into the house, but obviously that's like heaven, and if he goes in, he dies. I think that scene's fine. But see the scenes where he's talking to the Buddhist monks, it's like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, that lost me. Anyway, it was a good episode. I liked it. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I agree. It was good episode. Great episode.
Anyway, guys, that concludes the first week of Sons.
I think
Walking Dead and The Sopranos. What show for you had the best first week?
I think Sopranos is maybe taking it, to be fair.
Yeah,
Sopranos or Sons.
It's not Walking Dead.
Walking Dead
is so
had
good
Walking
and
Dead,
then so shite.
Yeah, Walking Dead had a great episode, followed by a crap episode, followed by a pretty good episode. So it's like, yeah. But whereas I think the Sopranos has been.
Well, bear in mind, The Walking Dead only has 2 episodes. This first week.
Yeah, but it bounces back in the next week, doesn't it?
Well, we'll see. We'll see, guys.
So.
Anyways, till then, 8 out of 10. Peace.